Dum, 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 dum. Hi again. I really need to get that intro music going, don't I? Okay, so in this episode, what we're going to talk about is if you want to experiment with something, how do you do it without stuffing everything up? Now, if you're a genius, you'll never do anything wrong. Yeah, like that's going to happen. You wouldn't be watching this if that was going to be the case, would you? Okay, so what I'm going to do is talk about some different ways of making copies of a puppet so you can recover it. So basically, I make a copy of a puppet sometimes if I want to try something out without messing up the original puppet because, well, I don't want to mess up the original puppet. So let's jump into it. Okay. So I don't think I'll operate on myself. What we're going to do in the next episode is probably have a balloon and give the Wookie a balloon. So let's have a look. Let's see, where are we? We've got our Wookie. And I want to make some changes to him. Now, if it was just the rigging, the easiest way is you select the puppet here, you go Edit, Duplicate, and now I've got a second one. And it keeps putting new numbers on the end. If you want to rename it, you can right-click and rename. Everything you can do is just hit the Enter key and type in a new name. So I'm going to, if I called him Wookie Duplicate, just for the sake of it. And so if I make any changes now, one thing I keep catching myself on is I edit the old one. Because when I duplicate it, it didn't change over to the new one. And so I find myself having to be really, really careful to make sure that I'm actually editing the right one up here. So I've got a list of the rigging, but what I might try and do is to say, well, what would he look like if I got rid of that and got rid of that. So now I have to create a new scene because he's a new puppet. Going down a little bit. But I can see what the bend would look like. I just want to try it out and see what it's doing without messing around the original one. And so if I come back to the original guy, and I'm just going to create him a new scene. Oops. You might notice that little X here, and you just click the X to clear that value. This is the other one. You see his shirt doesn't bend as much over here, whereas in this one, his shirt bends. So it's a difference. So, cool. That's the easiest way. Edit. So you've got to pick a puppet, edit, duplicate, and makes another copy of it. But there's one thing you've got to watch out for. If I single click on the puppet over here it's got the file name. And you can change that path name. You can just click on it and go off and pick another file. But when I duplicated it, single click. When I duplicated live stream Wookie, it didn't duplicate the artwork. And so if I wanted to edit the artwork, up here, single clicking doesn't change with the one up here. You've got to double click. And so if I edited him, what could I do? What's something quick I can do? Paint. Smart object. Okay, so I'm going to, it's a new layer button, isn't it? No, it's a new group. That one. scribble, 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 save that, come back over here, and we got the new scribble. Only problem is the duplicates also got the scribble because they're still sharing the same artwork file. So if I come back here, I'm going to undo that, undo, save that nice clean one again. So how can I fix that? How can I do a better job? Well, what you can do, come back over here. So it's important to let the save finish and then come back to Character Animator because then it can load it back up again. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to delete him. And delete that. So another thing you can do instead is you pick the puppet and you export the puppet. And what it's going to do is to create a Character Animator puppet file. Where should I put it? I'm going to put it in Downloads, Live Stream. Just so I keep my files clean, I'm going to call him Wookie Clean Export. And by doing that, I've now got a Wookie Clean Export. Now it's got a .puppet file on the end. So it's got a .puppet extension on the end of that file, and that says it's a puppet file. Now, what it really is it's a zip file. But you don't need to know that. They just renamed zip into .puppet. So it's got a whole lot of files into it. But if you actually change your file extension to zip, you can actually browse around and have a look inside there. I never do, but it's just useful to know that it is actually a zip file. So, how's that made a duplicate though? Well, I can come over here and I can do File, Import. Of that file I just created. And now, if you look at this new puppet, he looks just like the same as before, which is all great and wonderful. If I double click on him, he's got all the rigging as before, as I exported, which is cool. If I do Control E and I add a layer and I give him a balloon and hit save, we're loading into here, he's got his balloon, but if I come back to the original Wookie, he doesn't. And that's because this one is in the live stream directory. This one is in this gathered media directory. So it's pulled the artwork out of the file. So this way, by doing an export and then an import, which one you want to do. Cool. So that one was just a little quick lesson, how to make a copy of a puppet if you want to go around and messing around with it. You've got both the edit duplicate and you've got the idea of